Rajnagar was restless that evening. The skies were unusually dark, thunder rolled far away, and winds howled through the narrow streets. People hurried home, whispering that something strange was coming. Nagraj stood atop a tall tower, his emerald costume glowing faintly under flashes of lightning. His snakes hissed uneasily, slithering under his skin, sensing danger long before it revealed itself. And then, it came. A crash louder than thunder, a flash brighter than lightning, and suddenly a massive figure landed in the marketplace, shattering the cobblestone beneath him. Dust and screams filled the air as people scattered in fear. The figure rose, towering, muscular, skin like dark bronze, long wild hair whipping in the storm, and eyes burning like embers. He wore tribal armor, carved with strange symbols, and in his hand was a warhammer that sparked with electric fury. The people gasped. Who is he? A demon? A god? Nagraj leapt down from the tower, landing gracefully before the intruder. His voice was firm. Who are you, and why do you bring chaos to my city? The stranger raised his hammer, lightning dancing along its edge. His voice was thunder itself. I am Shango, the Lord of Storms. This land was once under my rule, and I have come to reclaim it. The earth trembled as his hammer struck the ground, sending waves of energy through the streets. Houses shook, windows shattered, and people screamed in terror. Nagraj's eyes narrowed. If you seek to harm my people, then you will answer to me. And thus, the storm had arrived in Rajnagar, not from the sky, but in the form of a warrior god named Shango. The marketplace had become a battlefield. Shango's hammer crackled with lightning as he swung it with the force of a hurricane. Each strike tore through stone, sending debris flying. Nagraj dodged swiftly, his body moving like a serpent's dance. You claim this city as yours, Shango, but Rajnagar is under my protection, he shouted. Snakes burst from his body, calling around Shango's arms, biting with venom. But Shango laughed, his thunderous voice shaking the air. Fool! No venom can harm the Lord of Storms. He flexed his arms, and a surge of electricity fried the serpents, forcing them back into Nagraj's body. The crowd watched in horror as the two titans clashed. Nagraj leapt high, kicking Shango's chest, but the storm god barely staggered. With a roar, Shango struck the ground, creating a shockwave that flung Nagraj across the square. Pain seared through his body, but Nagraj rose, determination blazing in his eyes. You may wield thunder, Shango, but I wield 1,000 serpents, and they do not bow to storms. The fight raged until nightfall, neither yielding. Finally, Shango raised his hammer to the heavens, summoning a colossal bolt of lightning that illuminated the entire city. Nagraj braced himself, snakes shielding him in a glowing barrier. The bolt struck, shaking Rajnagar to its core. And when the light faded, both warriors stood, breathing heavily, neither victorious, both unwilling to surrender. The next day, the city buzzed with fear. Who was Shango? A god returned from the past, or a conqueror from another world? Nagraj sought answers in the library of ancient scrolls, guided by Professor Nagmani. The old scholar adjusted his glasses, pulling out a dusty manuscript. Listen, Nagraj. Shango was worshipped centuries ago in far-off lands as the god of thunder and justice. Legends say he was banished after his wrath destroyed kingdoms. But how is he here now? That is the mystery. Before they could discuss further, Nagraj felt a chill. His snakes hissed, Shango was near. In the hills beyond Rajnagar, Nagraj found him, not in rage, but in solitude, sitting on a rock, his hammer beside him. His wild hair flowed in the wind, his eyes no longer burning but filled with sorrow. You came to fight again? Shango asked, his deep voice calmer. I came for truth, Nagraj replied. Why are you here? What do you seek? Shango looked to the sky, thunderclouds reflecting in his eyes. I was betrayed by my own kind, cursed to wander between worlds. I seek a land to rule again, a place to call mine. Your Rajnagar, it called to me. Nagraj stepped closer. If it is peace you want, we can find it. But if it is conquest, I will never allow it. Shango's jaw tightened. Peace? The world has no peace for warriors like us. Only storms. Lightning flashed in the distance, as if agreeing with his words. Nagraj realized then, Shango was not just an enemy, but a broken soul carrying the weight of exile. Just as Nagraj began to see the truth behind Shango, a new danger emerged. Deep beneath Rajnagar, in the caverns where shadows never ended, a cult had awakened, the Triad of Terror. Cloaked in black, their leader was a sorcerer named Zoltar, who sought to harness Shango's storm power for his own rise. Zoltar raised his staff, chanting ancient words. Bring me the god of thunder, and his power shall be mine. That night, as Nagraj patrolled the city, Shango was ambushed. Chains forged from dark magic wrapped around him, draining his strength. He roared, summoning lightning, but the chains absorbed it, glowing brighter. Nagraj heard his cry and rushed. The sight of Shango, bound and weakened, filled him with rage. Release him, he demanded. Zoltar sneered. Ah, the serpent warrior. You too shall bow when I wield the storm. Dark creatures rose from the ground, twisted beasts with glowing eyes, servants of Zoltar. The streets erupted in chaos as Nagraj fought desperately, snakes tearing through monsters, his fists striking with fury. But the cult's power was overwhelming. For the first time, Shango looked at Nagraj not as a rival, but as an ally. Free me, serpent. Only together can we stop this. Nagraj leapt, his snake striking the chains with venomous precision. With a final surge of strength, Shango shattered his bonds, thunder erupting from his hammer. Side by side, serpent and storm fought the cult, driving them back into the shadows. But Zoltar escaped, vowing revenge. And so, a new bond was forged, between two warriors destined to clash, yet forced to unite against darkness. The days that followed were uneasy. Nagraj and Shango trained together, their powers clashing and merging. Snakes coiled around lightning, creating a spectacle of raw force. You fight with grace, Shango admitted once. Like the serpent, patient yet deadly. And you fight with fury, Nagraj replied, smirking. Like the storm, wild but powerful. Their alliance was tested sooner than expected. Zoltar returned, stronger, his cult spreading terror across Rajnagar. He had crafted a staff infused with storm fragments, stolen from Shango's essence. With it, he summoned tempests that battered the city. The final battle came at the banks of the Yamuna River. Dark clouds churned above, winds howled, waters rose. Zoltar stood at the center, his staff glowing with stolen power. You two are nothing before me, he roared. Nagraj and Shango charged together. Snakes surged forward, biting into shadow beasts, while Shango's hammer clashed with Zoltar's staff, lightning against lightning. The ground split, the river waves rose high, and the storm threatened to consume everything. At the peak of the fight, Nagraj unleashed all his serpents at once, a tidal wave of emerald coils wrapping around Zoltar. Shango raised his hammer, channeling pure thunder. Together, serpent and storm struck, shattering the staff, exploding the sky with blinding light. Zoltar screamed, consumed by his own dark magic, vanishing into nothingness. The storm cleared. The river calmed. Silence fell over Rajnagar. As dawn broke, the city awoke to peace. Nagraj stood on a rooftop, watching the people rebuild, their courage stronger than ever. Beside him stood Shango, his hammer resting at his side. You fought with honor, Shango said softly. Perhaps, This land does not need me as its ruler. It already has a protector. Nagraj looked at him. Every land needs justice, Shango. But justice does not always come through conquest. Sometimes, it comes through sacrifice. Shango nodded, his fierce eyes softening. Then my journey must continue. Somewhere out there, perhaps, a place still waits for me. They clasped hands, two warriors, once enemies, now bonded by battle. With a final glance at Rajnagar, Shango raised his hammer, summoning a storm that carried him into the clouds. The people below saw the lightning fade and whispered legends of the storm god who came and went. Nagraj stood alone, the wind brushing against his emerald suit, his snakes hissing softly. "Farewell, Shango," he whispered. "May your storms find peace." The sky cleared, sunlight bathing Rajnagar in golden warmth. For now, the serpent protector had won. But deep within, he knew, storms always return. If you like the story, then subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.